love.
What?
Oh my goodness.
What is that?
It's a Y-shaped toothbrush. You ha ha ha. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We live in the future. This was an innovation award at the Consumer Electronics Show. Big show, lots of robotic dogs and other innovations. And the Y toothbrush, I think I've been looking for this my whole life. It has actually made me brush my teeth more consistently. And I don't know if it works. They guarantee it works. I don't know that it works. I'm a little bit skeptical. But and by the way, no affiliation. No, this is not an infomercial. But I will explain. There's bristles on 3 sides. You shove it in your mouth. You use your bottom jaw to push up so that the bottom bristles, starts to touch the top of your teeth, right? You move it side to side, and thus their value proposition, their promise is that it takes you 10 seconds to brush your teeth. So it vibrates, right? Just as if but instead of hitting one tooth and then moving on to the next and moving on to the next and moving on to the next, you're vibrating such that and you hit every tooth for the entire 10-second period. Then you flip it over, you do your bottom teeth, bam, done, 20 seconds.
It doesn't look like it would reach your molars back there. Does it get
I do worry.
I got an invention. One that has the flip side as well.
Yeah,
so it does your whole
Yeah,
mouth.
so just the whole mouth at once. 10 seconds.
I actually invented that when I was in like 5th grade. I said there should be like a car wash for your mouth. You put it in. It just does the job for you. You don't need to do anything. You can do whatever you want with your hands.
Car wash.
And it just does your teeth. I think that should have been invented a long time ago. But it actually works. I like that.
It should have. The reason why it didn't take off is because your pitch included a car wash for your teeth, and the mental image doesn't really sell like the Y toothbrush. I think
is that what it's called?
We're talking about
what
morning routines.
Is it called the Y toothbrush?
I don't actually know. I don't remember. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's the Y toothbrush. Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I hate brushing my teeth. Yeah. That's one of the worst things about morning routines.
I love brushing my teeth.
Do you?
Yeah. Get so nice and clean and minty. Do you have to put toothpaste around the whole thing? That seems kind of inefficient.
That's the thing. Their onboarding process is actually really impressive. They force you to use the QR code and get set up, and then it walks you through the process. You put a little bit of toothpaste here, and here, because obviously doing the full amount would be way too much. Or they have accessorized, and you can buy like a little mouthpiece thing to go on your toothpaste such that it puts a little bead along the entire thing. I'm just doing the 3-point one, and it works pretty well.
I want a video. I want a video demonstration of this.
I'd like a dentist's opinion on this thing too.
Yeah. All right. It reminds me of old school fluoride when you had to put that giant mouthpiece in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was always that's what it feels like.
All right. Well, as exciting as all that is, we should move on. I think get to the promised content here, which is the perfect morning routine. And I guess it could include the Y toothbrush, or at least that could give you more time for your morning routine.
Yeah.
If you want. First, hello to the people who are here live. Britters, Garuda Legends, who yes, we did miss all week. I thought Garuda maybe left us because he wasn't at the morning shows as he usually is. Daniel P, Dale Stevens. So good crowd today. This is the first time we've done all 4 of us for No Meat Athlete Radio, which is kind of part of the vision. We'd like to do these now and then. We'll see how it goes. It's our first time doing it with 4 people, so who knows how smoothly it will all go, or if we'll be talking over each other, but we'll see. And it seemed like morning routines would be a good topic to talk about. Since we just talked about optimizing, that episode went up today, actually, Matt, the day we're doing this live. And, morning routines fit right in there because you can think of the optimized morning routine that's full of ridiculous garbage that you don't need to do, even though it's theoretically optimal. Doug and I have talked a good bit on the morning show how we've kind of swung back and gone against the morning, gone against optimizing. And I think I've recently have thought the best morning routine is the one that just, the stuff you like to do in the morning. It makes you feel happy and fun. And I think you're setting yourself up for a good productive day if you do that stuff. So anyway, we'll get some different opinions here, and we will we'll see how it goes. How we'll see what everybody does. So with that, I guess we need to start. I mean, I think people know the people here, right? Doug Hay, morning show person, Isabel Caputo, new host of No Meat Athlete Radio, who's going to be on pretty much all of these things, I think. Matt Tolman, who does the Outlier Health Podcast with me. So that's the four of us. It does look like the Brady Bunch, Dale Stevens points out. I was thinking more like Hollywood Squares kind of thing. Is that
same thing?
There? Does Drew Carey host that or something now? Did they save that one?
Oh, it exists?
Or Wayne Brady? No.
I don't think.
Doug, what's your morning routine? Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
I got before we actually get to our routines. Real question, honest question. Does anyone here think that morning routines actually matter? Like optimizing your morning routine matters?
Well, let me start by saying I don't know that question is relevant because it's kind of like the saying that whether or not you make a decision or you don't make a decision, you've made a decision, right? Like the not making of a decision is a decision. Not having a morning routine is a routine. Your morning is routinely something, right? So like the question I think you're asking is like, is it better to have a prescriptive, regimented, consistent routine, or is it better to, I think what you're inferring, the opposite of just go with it and see, what happens on every given day?
Well, I'm not sure that's quite what I'm asking.
Maybe it's three.
There's so much hype around morning routines and optimizing and studying, how high achievers structure their morning routines and things like that. So the question is like, pretty much everybody's going to do the same things every day because we get up and go to work. How important is it in your mind to be really precise with your morning routine and try to get in certain, check certain boxes, meditation, workout, water, whatever it is, versus just kind of like waking up, going through the steps, getting your kids off to school, and then sitting down at the desk?
I think it's massively overrated. I think it has gotten popular because the Tim Ferriss show and things like that glorify it, like how many coffee beans Beethoven used exactly in his coffee, or what type of pencil Stephen King uses, so that we can exactly copy some minutia and hope that we're going to get the results by that magic. And people like that content and they listen to it. And when we said we were going to do a morning routine episode, we said people will listen to that. So it's popular for. I mean, people like this stuff. I think that alone means it's going to be way overrated.
I don't know. I've said this before, but
spectrum.
Isabel, go ahead.
Beat me to it, Tolman. I think, I think we're probably going to say the same thing. I think it depends on your phase of life too. Like would I love to have an optimized morning routine that I do every single morning? Yes, that would be fantastic. But I have two children who wake me up at who even knows what time, or a dog that wakes me up at 6 o'clock to puke. That's fun too. But there are pieces of our lives that sometimes are out of our control. And so I think for me, it's more of how do I find the routine that keeps me stable while knowing that things are going to change. So how do I get in the things that I need, not necessarily at the same time all the time, but that's the phase of life that I'm in.
Yeah, but I also think that there's a spectrum, and that's maybe what I was getting at with my first thought with Doug. Like, there's over here, which is like, I'm just going to wake up and I'm going to frantically get to work and may or may not eat breakfast. Sometimes I eat breakfast. Sometimes I grab a bar. Sometimes I just have a macchiato with, whatever amount of sugar, and like throws off the rest of my day. Like, there's that end of the spectrum, which I think we would all agree is not a good way to start your day. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is what you described, which is counting the 16 beans that Beethoven used for his perfect cup of coffee. And then I think there's something in the middle, which is like a consistent set of practices that isn't as crazy as the Tim Ferriss, like, I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to cold plunge, and I'm going to walk outside, and I'm going to mouth breathe, and I'm going to do that, right? Like, but there can be, I think, a healthy set of practices, right? Like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to pray, meditate, drink coffee, and read, right? And like, that's how I start my day. And then I'm going to go get my children, because I try to start a little earlier. And then I make breakfast, and then I go to work, right? Like, and having, one of those routines feels very different than like the optimization that you see on the internet type routine.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree that the first one is bad, right? Like going and getting what sounds like a really good cup of coffee, and not having any other obligations, like that's a pretty good way to start the day, I think. And I think for certain phases of lives or certain people who, I mean, it depends where you are. Like if you can't get control of your life, maybe you need something different than that, or maybe you need exactly that. I don't know. Which is why I would say it's not obvious that is a bad morning routine. The other thing here is like you want to do exercise every day. That's a good thing to do. I think most people would agree with that. And if putting it in the morning routine is the way to ensure that you get it done, then that's a good argument for having some sort of routine. Because this is the only way I'm going to get this thing done if I do it first. Because I otherwise know I'm going to lose control of my day. But I hate working out in the mornings. I just don't. That's not going to get me out of bed like knowing a cup of coffee and fooling around on the piano will. Like I'll just want to do that. That seems fun. Like I would love that. That's a nice first hour of the day or first half hour or whatever. So like that's a really positive start. And I know I'm going to do my workout later in the afternoon or sometimes not, but like usually I'll get that done. So I guess like it's not that important that things are done in the morning. You can do these things that you mentioned, meditating, praying, reading, like they can be done at different times in the day. And I don't think there's anything magical about doing that in the first 30 minutes to set yourself up for success all day.
Yeah, I think
I totally disagree.
Ooh, this is gonna be a hot debate. All right,
go ahead, Doug.
I'm mostly in agreement with you, Matt. The key there is just like you said, getting it done before the day gets away from you. And there are a couple things, and we'll go over our morning routines in a bit, but there are a couple things that I do in the morning just because I don't know for sure that I'll be able to do them after the morning. And that's kind of the only reason they're in the morning, even though I probably wouldn't want to do that in the morning. And the one thing that I will say the one thing that I'm not doing right now very consistently, but that I used to do in the morning that has like really set me up for success through the day was when I was had a meditation practice, and I was doing that right before kicking off work. And that really did kind of change my mindset going into it. But it's not something I'm doing right now.
I think to your point though, Fraser, like you said, this is what gets you up in the morning, and then you'll get your exercise routine in later in the day. That's kind of where I'm at in life too, is I don't always get to work out right away in the morning, even though that's what I'd want to do. But I think there might be something to the fact that you'll get it done. Like whether that's saying like, I am going to get this done at 2:00 today or 3:00 today, that might be something to look forward to in the morning, which helps set you up for the day. Because I think that's what the morning routine is really about, is how do you set yourself up for a successful day to complete the things that you want to complete. And having a schedule or having, planned time for the things that are important to you might be what you need. It might not all need to get done in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I also think like the work from home culture, like morning routines 10 years ago, very different because that was like your time. It was your only time maybe to do what you want until 6:00 when you get home. So like you have to get up and get these things knocked off. But like with flexible work hours that comes with working from home, you can do, like you said, a workout in the afternoon. So it's a little bit different, I think, than it used to be. Anyway.
But for me, I think to me, it's all about momentum and mindset, and look, if you're not someone who's trying to achieve a lot in a day, maybe this doesn't apply to you. But for me, like happiness and productivity and like, a general sense of well-being and like maintaining momentum through a day is like, those are actually important values to me. And I am eminently more happy when I start off a day with a certain set of activities. And I don't work out first thing in the morning because like I find, my workouts are difficult. And so after working out, I am like, I'm on the downward slope of the mountain. I'm coasting into recovery and family time and like sleep. Like I can't go, it's not true. I've had really great morning workouts. And then like for the rest of the day, I'm like super calm and probably a very pleasant person to be around. But I don't have the same like fire to get stuff done. So like I've just found that I am best if I can use the morning time to work and then work out a little later in the morning or afternoon, to your point. So I don't think it necessarily matters that it's like the intense, like I said, the intense, workout, meditate, cold plunge. Like I don't think you have to cram all that into like 1 hour before you go to work. Definitely not. But I know that like mornings where I feel productive. I remind myself who I am. Like, I meditate. I am a demonstrably more pleasant person to be around for the rest of the day. Whereas if I get up because my kids are sick and like have to go straight into parenting and like didn't get to like center myself, didn't get any work done, like didn't check, to make sure that the world isn't on fire, and like, I just have to like go and do all this stuff, and like by 11 or 12 in the afternoon, I'm just like, gosh, I need to like get back to being me for a moment. Yeah, 11.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened
I
today?
don't know. Man, this has been the hardest. This is the hardest week I've ever worked in my entire life, and I'm exhausted and losing my voice.
Wow, good. Well, good for you then. I
So-
guess. Right?
Okay.
But I maintain my morning routine.
Okay.
Fueled me through it.
So what about the obsession with like waking up super early to get in all these things? So obviously, it's kind of an extension of my original question, but I think there's been this like this emphasis on the grind culture where you're waking up at 5 so that you can check these boxes so that you can be productive before the world wakes up, yada, yada. But now I think we're shifting a little bit to prioritizing sleep. The culture is shifting a little bit to understanding the value of sleep for longevity, for immunity, for, just general health. What are your thoughts on like doing the really early wake up thing versus to get in that morning routine versus kind of sleeping until either your body wakes you up or you have to wake up because you got to get the kids to school or whatever, and kind of starting the morning routine just later in the day?
I think for me, it just depends on like where you are in life and what you feel like. I've done the more early thing before. I was doing like a 4:30 wake up at one point, and I had a Twitter friend who I like checked in with every morning, and it worked for like a couple months, and it was cool. But then I was really tired in the day, and like it didn't do anything amazing. And then once I had kids, I couldn't do that anymore, and I would actually get like start the day angrily because when I would arrange to like get up, inevitably I would wake a kid up, and like I thought I had this like morning time blocked out, and then a kid would wake up, and I got to go deal with that. And so like it just never really stuck. Recently, I've just decided like I'm just not meant to get up that early. It just doesn't do well for me. So I don't know. I don't.
Did you go to bed earlier?
I must.
I saw.
Yeah.
I saw a hustle culture, whatever it's called, grind culture meme of Mark Wahlberg's schedule, and it has his wake up at 2:30 in the morning. He's like working out by like 3 or 4 in the morning. Somehow that makes sense to him because like by midday he's golfing. So I'm like, trade out the golf and sleep a little bit if you can't fit in golf, right? And then like, but he's going to bed at 7:30 in the evening, which, look, if we're looking at like sun cycles and circadian rhythm and fitting everything you want to in a day, and like, what do we all really do after 7:30 at night? I mean, if you're me or Isabel, you're working. For most people, it's like Netflix or some other less than high ROI activity, right? And like you're wasting time. So like, why not sleep at that moment and then wake up early? Not saying that that's a positive thing. I think Mark Wahlberg may be taking it a little bit too far. But I will say, if you're trying to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and you're still going to bed at 11 o'clock at night, I've tried it. It's a recipe for disaster. You have to shift to going to bed like 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends too on the quality of sleep that you're getting. Like that's what we're talking about when we talk about sleep for longevity and for health. It's quality sleep too, like optimizing that kind of sleep with blackout curtains and white noise machines and those pieces, again, to increase your quality of sleep. And so, if you get really quality sleep for 8 hours a night, 7 hours a night, whatever is best for you, and then you can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and be productive, like, I think that's fantastic for you. But if you get bad quality sleep, like I get, because I have a tiny child with me most of the time, then maybe waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning would be detrimental for you. So I don't know if there's necessarily a right answer, obviously, but depending on what you're getting, I think you can do both. You can get that quality sleep and then have the time for the optimized morning routine, depending on your phase of life. As I love to say,
phases of life. My phase of life, we don't get home till 9 o'clock from soccer practice every night.
There's my
This is a tiny child, though, very, very angry. She gave him Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't go.
He's very loud.
All right, so let's get to what we actually do. I go first because mine's really simple. I prioritize coffee. It's really important to me. It makes the morning so nice. Not just getting any coffee, but making a really good one. Britters here agrees. She says she makes getting good coffee a top priority. You got to get a Baratza grinder. That's a key morning routine item. Doug now has one. I know Britters has one. I have one. If you're not grinding with a burr grinder, you're not taking it seriously. You're a joke. So that I do that first. I currently have a trade coffee subscription.
I'm a joke.
You can't be, first of all, so antagonistic and so full-throated in your endorsement about this Baratza grinder without then at least explaining why is it better? What does it do? Do I have to pay
Do we really want to know?
$3,000 coffee grinder?
You
Nuovo Simonelli.
It costs $125 to $250 in that range, depending on what you want. A blade grinder will keep grinding the same particles over and over while you're waiting for some beans to still get ground at all. So you get a bunch of dust. So you get all these different size particles in your coffee, which means that when some of them are fully expressed, other ones are going to be totally producing bitter, over extracted by that. So a burr grinder is not a blade. It grinds, and when the coffee reaches a certain size, it falls through. So you get a very uniform grind. And that's all the coffee people will say. That's the first item to fix if you're gonna get serious about coffee. You have to get a good grinder.
Thanks, Britters.
Are you and Britters employed by the burr grinding industry? Because you sell it really well. I mean, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't really drink coffee, but I'm gonna start.
Right.
Because I got to get in on this stuff.
You want to be a joke. You want to really go for it. So anyway, I don't want to talk about coffee too much. It's a really nice part of the morning. As I said before, I like to play the piano when I drink some of that coffee. I also do the morning pages routine, which I have done on and off for years, but recently been back on like this year, basically, so just a month or so. That's the 3 written pages, handwritten. And to me, that is sort of a substitute for meditation, which meditation has never really worked for me. I've done 40 days in a row and things like that, and I just never have noticed the positive benefits. Morning pages, it just seems to be good at like manifesting stuff. As weird as that sounds, when I write stuff down over and over, not within a purpose of doing that, but like every day I'm like, I'm sick of this thing. I'm sick of this thing. You write that enough times, eventually your mind figures out a way to change it. So that's just a really important thing for me, and I really like that. I would say that's it. I think those things are done, and then I start planning the morning show and whatever, and on with the workday.
What about breakfast with your kids or anything?
Oh yeah.
Don't do it. One kid leaves at 6:40 a.m.
Do you eat breakfast?
No breakfast.
I usually don't. I would like to, but I very rarely actually eat breakfast. Around 11, I might get a bowl of cereal or something. I'm not 11 because that's the morning show time, but maybe 10:30.
Is it black coffee? So like you're fasting until 11? Is that
I mean, if you count the coffee as fasting, which it is, it doesn't have any more calories, just the beans. But I don't think that's healthy. I really don't. I think now and then for short bursts, but the things I've seen is that missing a meal is not generally a good thing, not associated with improved health later on. As much as that's going to anger the intermittent fasting crowd, I just don't think it's good.
Sounds like your routine needs to add some breakfast.
It does. I do. So like I'll eat a Lara bar or something sometimes. Like I try to find things, but I don't have any good breakfast foods that I really like.
Oatmeal.
I hate oatmeal.
Oh,
it's poor person food. It's given to the peasants.
Peasant food. We love peasant food.
It'll spike your blood sugar. Don't do it.
They give horses. No, I don't know. I think oatmeal's good. I just don't like it. All right, enough about mine. Someone else go.
Oatmeal.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to say I don't really do the making the bed bit. Does anyone do the making of your bed or things?
No, I'm anti-making bed now. I used to make bed.
Isabel does.
Well, I don't. My husband does, but that is an important part of our morning.
I used to make the bed because it was supposed to be an important part of your morning. It's like this little thing you achieved, right? Yeah. Right as you got out of bed. But now you no making beds. Anti-making beds. You got to let your bed air out. Get a little sunlight.
Right. For health reasons. That's right. The microbes won't die if you're always making your bed.
You're not supposed to trap all that stuff in there. You got to let it air out.
But then it's just like in shambles.
Yeah, I mean, you just make it later in the day.
Oh, later in the day. Oh, okay.
I'll go next. My morning is this is weekday mornings is incredibly regimented because of the kids. I wake up 3 times a week. I wake up at 5, go for a run, and 2 of those are usually involve a creek plunge after the run. I get home right about 5 minutes before my kids wake up. I have to wake up for school, so I take a quick shower, wake the kids up, and then do their whole breakfast routine, make their lunches, get my cup of coffee. And then it's after I drop them off at school that things really start to be about me. I take a 5 to 10 minute power nap, usually in the car before I get out of the car.
You do the coffee nap, right? Drink coffee and then nap.
Yep. I drink the cup of
I
coffee.
used to do that.
I drink the cup of coffee while I'm taking them to school. And when I get home, I stay in the car, set my alarm for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how tired I am that day. Take a quick power nap, and then wake up totally refreshed, ready to go for the day. And then I kind of come in and do my work thing. And I don't know. Right now, since I've been intermittent fasting. I'm Team IF, by the way, since January 1st, and so I'm usually getting my first meal after the morning show around noon.
What time do you wake up, and what does intermittent fasting mean to you? Is that like time restricted eating, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I wake up at on run days I wake up at 5. On non-run days I wake up at about 6:30. So it's kind of every other day, rotate. And then fasting from usually 7:30 to noon.
What about on the weekends? Same thing?
Weekends are everything's out the window. Sometimes, because if I'm doing a long run, then I'll always eat before that. And then we do big brunch. We do like a big fun Sunday brunch as a family, pancakes and stuff. So, what's that?
Do you have mimosas at your brunch? Along with your just egg?
Unfortunately not.
No,
always just egg, or homemade just egg.
Homemade just egg?
The squirt or the patties?
The squirt, or not squirt, the liquid. Although you can't get it anymore. So this has been a big thing. This is a big thing we're talking about on the morning show a lot, because I've been trying all of these different recipes for replacements, because my grocery store quit carrying the liquids, and they just haven't worked out. None of the recipes that they all claim to be exactly like just egg are farce.
People have jumped on that.
You need to try some of these.
As sending you fixes for that and sending you new recipes. If you just said that, everyone is just like wants to solve that problem for you.
I know. I've gotten, a bunch of people are sending them to me on Instagram. People are sending them to
Has anyone just tried to send you some just egg? That would be a solution.
Problem solved. Do you ever do tofu?
I got a solution. PayPal me $20 and I'll send you some just egg.
No, maybe that's the other part. Just eggs is not cheap, right? But mung beans are. So, I'm looking for a way to like significantly cut down, because Chloe, my youngest, she'll eat it every single day if we cook it for her. I mean, she loves that stuff. So, and I'd like to give it to her, because honestly, like if
my kids like the squares.
Yeah, I mean the squares are good too. They're even more expensive, I think.
Wait. Yeah, they probably are. Yeah, there's like, yeah, they don't sell them in our local place, so we've gone off the just egg as well.
All right, Isabel, what's yours?
First off, tofu eggs. Do you not do tofu eggs?
Doug doesn't like coffee.
Good tofu scrambles are jam.
Tofu scramble, that is all I do for eggs. I haven't even tried just egg. I don't even know what it tastes like. Maybe I should try it.
Breakfast tacos with like some tofu scramble in there is.
Doug needs another way to get tacos in, so that would be perfect.
There you go, breakfast tacos
every other day.
I mean, that's usually a weekend brunch is breakfast burritos,
and that's also a weekday dinner too.
I'm on Team Taco. Can we get shirts?
Team breakfast burrito too. Yum.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So my morning routine obviously is very much dictated by my children right now. It was very different. I used to be a 4:30, 5 o'clock waker upper, go for a run in the dark. It was lovely. Not my reality anymore. So now I either wake up around 6 or whenever my children wake me up, or child, most of the time it's the little one. And then I drink a bunch of water before I have coffee. That's like one, I don't know why, but that's one of my rules, is to, make sure that I'm hydrated before I put any caffeine into my body. And I find that it really does help. It makes me feel like I'm less, like the coffee is less like required. Like I don't need the caffeine because I've got all this water. So I feel nice and hydrated, and then I can enjoy the coffee and know that I'm not, using it just for the caffeine jolt that it gives me. So bunch of water first. I normally hop on work like right away. I know people will not like that because I'm looking at a screen and doing things right away, but that's a good time for me to get some things done. So between like the 6 to 7:30 before my second child normally wakes up, is a good time for me to have my coffee, either hang out with the kids if they're both awake, or be doing some work. I normally don't have breakfast until like 9 o'clock-ish, mostly because I'm just not hungry. In the morning, I did intermittent fasting for a while, which was similar to what you are doing, Doug, the delayed eating. And so I wouldn't eat until like 11 o'clock, but now I don't do that anymore, or at least at this point in my life, because I need to have food consistently in my body because I am nursing a child, and you can't, or you probably shouldn't make your body do that while it's fasted. So I have oatmeal every single day. Fraser, I know you're not going to like it, but every single day, that's like a requirement of my routine. Good for your body.
Like a bunch of like marmalade and like brown sugar on top.
No.
Extra sugar to spike the blood sugar.
No. Oatmeal, plain whole rolled oats, cinnamon, banana, peanut butter, or like sunflower seed butter or some other kind of butter.
No marmalade, huh?
No. Yeah, I don't like super sweet, so the banana gives it enough sweetness. I also,
what is marmalade?
It's like jelly or jam.
It's jam.
Yeah.
Well, these are 3 different things. Marmalade, jam.
I don't know the difference between marmalade and jam.
What is the difference?
I think marmalade and jelly is made from fruit juice. Jam is made from fruit. I know that one. I don't know.
Preserves.
Really?
Yeah. Preserves have whole
jelly in a while,
in them,
so
I think.
That sounds like the best choice.
Yeah, preserves I think is preserves is like, the old way of, prepping for the apocalypse, right?
Like Mama Bear does in the basement of the treehouse.
It's canning.
What is marmalade then? Somebody help.
Nice.
No one knows what marmalade is.
Nice fancy bear.
Marmalade is
Yeah, no, try to get fancy bears.
Marmalade's British jam. It's British jam.
Oh.
British jam. Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
It says it's from the Portuguese word marmelada, so I don't think that's right.
None of these are real. So no marmalade in my morning routine. That's pretty much it in terms of what.
No marmalade, jam, jelly, or preservative.
Oh, marmalade has peels of citrus fruits boiled with sugar and water.
So it's peels is what makes it.
I think I've had this before, and it was really good. I got some.
It's the same thing as it's jelly and jam. Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, even Smucker's makes.
For the record,
see.
For the record, I get a pass because we call it marmelada because we speak Spanish at home, and so I have found myself now just finding the nearest English word for a lot of things, including just mixing in Spanish words when I talk to my wife in English, because like whatever comes to mind first, I just use that. So I don't have any idea what marmalade is, but that's, for the record, why I use that now in English.
Is that jam?
Because I'm like, we make my... Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Maybe it's marmalade.
Let's move on.
Right.
Doug, these are the important things, okay? We have to have clarity.
That's pretty. That's pretty much mine, though. Those are like the regimented things I have to do. Is like decent amount of water, coffee, getting some working time. But I think going back to what Fraser said earlier, the schedule is really important to me too. Knowing when I'm going to get my workout in and knowing I have that time helps set me up for the day too, even if that's not in the morning, which most of the time it's not. It's in the afternoon. MT, what you got?
I wake up. I make my wife a cup of coffee. I don't use a fancy grinder, but I may need to now. Yeah. And then I meditate 30 to 40 minutes. It was 40 minutes pretty consistently. I did that for about 6 months. I've stepped it back to 30 minutes, just given where we're at in our life. For some reason, I've decided that I get the same benefit from 30 minutes. I've also found that a bunch of people, Dale says marmalade's its own category. Thank you, Dale. We're gonna go deeper. Next week, we're gonna go deep dive into jams, marmalades, jellies,
all fruit spreads next week.
Yeah. And so yeah, meditate, and then I go straight into work. I find myself to be in an incredibly calm and sort of contemplative state at that point. And I usually the night before, because remember the day starts the night before.
Ooh.
And so I know, which physically it does too. I mean, it starts right, but I always know like exactly what I want to get done. Like just one thing, the most important thing. I've always know like that one call that I've been putting off, the one email I need to send, the one thing I need to write, and so right away before I look at any email or text or whatever, I try to get into that. Don't always succeed in that part, and that is the best case, right? Meditate. That allows me, as of starting the meditation routine, I don't do caffeine immediately upon waking, which allows me to get into the Huberman adrenal cycle cortisol regulation thing where you're not putting caffeine in your body for the first 90 minutes. And I found that actually to really help me. What's that?
That sounds like a real
90
thing.
minutes. Yeah. That sounds real.
The explanation, as I understand it, is that if you drink caffeine within the first, actually, I think it's within the first 45 minutes, that it will down-regulate your cortisol secretion, which you want in the morning to help with natural alertness in the morning, and such that messing up your cortisol rhythm means that you get tired in the afternoon easier. You don't have the natural, right? And so if you're tired in the afternoon, a lot of people like me will reach for caffeine, then you won't fall asleep. You don't fall asleep, you can't wake up. The cycle continues. I have found, because I started meditating, drinking caffeine as I always did in the past. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really care whether my beans are finely ground or coarse ground. I'm like, give me caffeine straight to the vein as quickly as possible type of guy. Not anymore. But in the past, I used to be like, oh, I've got coffee left over from the day before. Can you believe it, Matt? Day old coffee. Just throw it back and get to work. And but now I don't have
like it's sitting in the pot. Like how would it be left over?
I store coffee.
Yeah, trash cans, pots, half a cup. Honestly, in the past, I've been so desperate. If I found like my wife's coffee cup from this morning and it's like half empty, I'm like, well, it's probably still fine, and I just drink that. I don't do that anymore, but definitely in the past. I mean, look, you guys don't want to see how the sausage is made, but it's worked, right? I'm very proud of the results, even if I'm not proud of the methods. But now less so. And tea, by the way, I'm not a coffee guy. I'm a tea guy. I like matcha. I like black teas. Yeah.
You're not a coffee guy, but if you happen to see a half cup left around,
he'll just toss it back.
I said in the past.
That's
I was very, yeah. I know I'm no longer as like crazy about that. I went like a long time without having a sip of coffee because it doesn't react well with me. Like I get super jittery and like very just frenetic energy. Tea is much better for
I remember
me.
that. I think when we met, you didn't drink coffee. You said.
Yeah. Now I'm a little bit, I don't know, maybe I'm just more tired naturally. I'm getting older, and like, so the coffee doesn't have the same sort of like, sledgehammer effect for me. So I can, like, if I'm at my wife's house and like it's already, my wife's house, and so like I don't want to rock the boat by like having to go and find tea and all that stuff. So like I'll have a cup of coffee to start the day there because it's available. And I don't have like the same reaction, but preferably tea. And that's it. Simple morning routine.
I got two things to call out. One is that I forgot to kind of, I kind of glossed over the whole like breakfast and making lunch for my kids thing. But that is actually a pretty important part of the routine, is because we, evenings are hit or miss, whether we're all at home or doing things or off, at different clubs or whatever. And so the breakfast is like the only guaranteed time that we'll have a meal together. So we do try to make that happen. And that's that feels important to me. And then the other.
Before you go on to point number 2, can you just clarify when you say clubs? Are these like raves?
Yeah, what's the best club in best
like,
up in the club?
What's the market club?
I mean, like
so
kids clubs, like after school clubs.
All of us thought that. All of us thought that when you said we're all at the clubs.
Yeah. I mean, I go clubbing a couple nights a week. That's why I need those power naps.
Exactly.
No, I mean like kids clubs. Okay, good question. And then the second is not a point but a question that Matt reminded me of with the Huberman thing is do any of y'all try to get sunlight or anything like that in the mornings?
Not really. I mean, I think about it a little bit, but I don't make any practice of actually doing it.
Because you don't like
the
going
sun's
outside.
not up.
Yeah.
The sun's not actually up when I wake up, so I just turn on the light on my phone and just like put it really close to my eye. Yeah, because he says it's like 10 minutes. I do 10 minutes on either eye. Usually while I'm doing my Y toothbrush, just kind of like blast each eye for a second.
There you go.
And I think that's the same.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm pretty sure it's
not the same. When it's nice out, when it's nice out, I try to take the kids out onto. We have a deck. And so try to take them out there when the sun's out, before we get started with the day. That's leisurely summertime when it's not snowing outside.
If it's warm out, I will go, like when we take the dogs out for the first time, I will go try to go barefoot in the grass just for whatever benefit that comes from that. And I don't know if it really does. I just feel like maybe I'm
grounding action,
something natural.
Yeah. And you hop on your little mini trampoline.
And I get on my rebounder and do
rebounding.
A little connection to the earth, to the world.
Last thing I got is Isabel mentioned leisure and just having fun, right? It just feels nice. Go outside, sunny. You don't do it because it's healthy for you. You do it because it just feels really good. And it turns out it probably is healthy because it's natural, as long as you're not spending too long out there. Do you guys not think it's important to like just do things that are important? Or it sounds like a whole lot of, not important, that you enjoy. Like it sounds like a whole lot of things that are good for you is like people want to do in the morning, which I guess is good. You're not being indulgent. You're investing in the future of the day, at least by doing the things that are good for you. I actually really enjoy all three of mine. The morning pages, you could say, is a self-improvement kind of thing, and maybe the piano, but that's more just sort of relaxing. Do you guys think that's important, or is mornings all about getting what you need to done?
No, for me, so the enjoyment part, so 2 days of the week, I meet up with a group of guys to do those runs. We do a trail run. It's fun. We strip down to our shorts, not to our Nikes, and and jump in the creek. And it's like this big, it's just kind of this big like social thing, way to start the morning, way to start your day. And like that is very much an enjoyment. Like, of course, there's the exercise part of it too, but it's also just kind of this enjoyable thing. And definitely keep the shorts on. I don't know why I said strip down. That's a weird.
You should have just
weird word choice.
You made it weird.
But we do strip down because it's like it's 28 degrees outside. We got to take off all our layers. We're just in our shorts.
Towels at each other.
We have robes. We all bring ropes decks down to the creek and throw on our
Doug, it's remarkable to me. After like 10 years on the No Meat Athlete radio and a year solid of daily morning shows, you still haven't figured out how to choose your words such that the audience is listening. You don't go to clubs at night and you don't strip down with a group of guys. Like, those are just not the words you put together.
You do you, Doug.
I got no shame in either of those things.
I think what you're saying though is important because, well, I don't know. I guess the question is, do you do things that you don't like in the morning just to like get them done? I don't know if I do things that I don't enjoy. Is that a strange question?
Matt Tolman does. That's
Yeah.
what he says. He eats the frog first thing in the morning when he gets to work. He does that hardest task.
Yeah, but you don't
But
necessarily not enjoy
that's
that.
post routine.
Okay, that's what's working.
That's post routine. That's not work. Yeah. Like I meditation, like it's kind of like a cold plunge. Like right before, I'm like, I don't have time to sit here for half an hour. Like, and I go through that whole process. I'm like, I'm good today. I'll just skip today.
Mhm.
Right. Like that is always the thing. So like to some extent, yes, I will admit that, you know, I have not yet found it to be sort of like, oh, if I have any amount of time in the day, like I'll just like, do some breath work and like try to drop into meditation. To some extent, I guess I feel that, but I I enjoy what that morning routine, what meditation in the morning does for me for the rest of the day. It makes me more empathetic. It makes me more calm. It makes me more patient with my kids, which I really need, right? Like it makes me think in a different way. And that I really enjoyed. So I would say it's the same probably for a lot of people in that morning routine. If you have to be the person who puts their running shoes and shorts and AirPods and everything in a little pile next to the bed, because in the morning you don't necessarily enjoy running in the cold. I mean, maybe you will eventually, like Doug, and you've built that up. Maybe like a lot of people, despite how many times you do it, you still need that motivation. So maybe in that moment you could say you don't enjoy it, but you get the runner's high for the rest of the day, and that's what makes it worth it. And so I think, it's nuanced, but whether or not you enjoy the activity, you enjoy the results of the activity, I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, I think I sort of knew that would be the answer. That there are things that aren't on the surface enjoyable, but the act of doing them is enjoyable, even if it's not till it's finished. But I think eventually it can, like anyone who starts exercising, you can start to enjoy the actual thing in some way. So yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, well we've been almost an hour here. We probably should just wrap this up. Anyone got anything else, or should we just sign it off?
How many of you are going to buy the Y brush?
I'm curious. A little bit much for me. Looks like another thing.
The coffee grinder is what I'm more interested in.
I prefer to brush my teeth with my finger.
If there was a double-sided Y brush, I would do it.
I mean, you could buy two.
Can you put turmeric in there for a teeth whitening experience?
You could.
Natural teeth whitening.
Were we talking about that, Matt, or was that
turmeric?
I think we were referring to an Outlier Health episode where Matt and I talked about it. Oh, yeah, turmeric whitens teeth, Isabel. It's a natural way. Try it.
I think this is a joke.
You can also
everyone.
use Compliment Essential.
This is a joke.
You can also use Compliment Essential. You just bite into the capsule and then brush your teeth, and it'll whiten. I promise. Try it. Take a picture and send it to me.
It'll taste great too.
Yeah, right. It tastes really good.
Yeah. Right. The taste is not the bad part. It'll stain your teeth green. I've tried it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks to those who showed up live. Great to have you all here with us. Commenting, interacting is good. This was No Mid Athlete Radio.
Particularly Phyllis.
What's that? Yeah, we didn't say hi to Phyllis. Phyllis Hauser, morning show regular. Phyllis. She showed up and she said, I'm happy that I randomly found this live. Fun discussion. So thank you, Phyllis. We appreciate that. First time we've done it. Glad it worked out. Yeah, we'll be back every Friday live with this morning show, this No Mid Athlete Radio show, and it goes on the podcast on Monday. But we might write that soon. We might have that'll go up the same day. Anyway, get on that Outlier Health podcast feed. If you're here live, get on the Outlier Health feed. That's where you will get the plant-based morning show, No Mid Athlete Radio, Outlier Health podcast itself. So lots of reasons to go do that. Also, don't forget to smash that like button if you're here, right? We need smashing of the button to happen in order for this show to grow and get traction. So please do that. That's it. Until Monday, we'll have a good weekend. That's it.
If anybody wants to go to the club with me this weekend, hit me up on the Discord.
Club in.
Goodbye.